All right, everyone, welcome to the You'll Have That podcast, the first one. This is our beginning. Maybe in a few years we'll look back at this and be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe the difference."
We're gonna be
But
like, help, man.
I'm your host Wassup. I'm joined by co-host Twiz and Jaboon, and I think
I
I pointed in the wrong direction for both.
Hello.
Alrighty, so we got a few topics on the list here that we're gonna go through. So let's get right into it, I guess, right? So,
Yeah.
first topic: do you own your Steam/Epic games? And this is more talking about how you're technically on the license to use the game. You don't actually physically own the game. So, what do we think about that?
I know this has been like in discussion for a while, especially when Epic Games hit the scene with the whole Metro Exodus and things going down. It's been a huge talk for a while, and I'm glad it's kind of coming to light and people are talking about it more.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a sticky situation because we've seen things like the whole PlayStation with Discovery happen recently too.
Mm-hmm.
Just sweeping or pulling the rug out under
Which
from consumers.
which the backlash on that got them to kind of rethink that position and re-up their license and stuff. But what happens whenever the license runs out again?
That's a very
Exactly.
good question. Is like this? It's like a band-aid fix. You don't know if it's gonna happen like another 3 months from now. Let's say maybe something like Netflix or something like that going on with PlayStation or even Valve. I don't think Valve would do that. I'm just like kind of speculating.
Yeah, where I'm with it is Valve could do that because in their terms of service, right? They do say that. But I think it's more of a lawyer thing to cover their ass. But if Valve were to do that, I think they would lose all their good customer relationship. I think that would completely destroy the platform. So it's kind of like if they need to do it, they technically could, but they're still essentially destroying their own company.
Well, my opinion about it is okay. If you're gonna do this and you're only gonna lease a copy of a game for X amount of time or however long you have the license for, why are you charging the same amount as the physical copy of the game? As someone that physically goes into a store and purchases it.
Yeah, that's a really
Call,
good.
Call of Duty, for example, MW3, you're paying $70 for the base game. You're paying $100 for the
Deluxe.
whatever
Yeah,
deluxe
deluxe.
edition or whatever.
Yeah.
So you're going to tell people, oh, you can play this game until the license runs out. Really?
Hmm.
Like, okay, then give us the game for $35 base.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. I guess that's another good reason, or like another. That's why I'm thankful that Xbox Game Pass and stuff like that's being more popular. Is at least with that, it kind of makes sense that you're paying that monthly fee.
Yeah, I
It's
love
not really easy
Xbox
to
Game Pass.
compare. Um,
Yeah, it does, but I have a feeling even with that, things are going to be taking a pretty bad turn because everybody hopped on the Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, all those bandwagons,
Hmm.
and every 6 months to a year, you're seeing it go up. I mean, I remember paying what was it, $10 a month
$10.
for
Yeah.
Netflix,
Yep.
and that came with the streaming plus the subscription where you could get the DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff in the mail. Now here we are in 2024, and you're paying almost $30 for Netflix alone. You have Disney. I guess it's Disney that's buying Hulu.
I
Right now,
believe
you
so.
can
Yeah.
get the bundle for $20.
Hmm.
How much are you going to be paying for the bundle whenever Disney takes it over? Because let's be honest, we know that the mouse has always been uh, pretty greedy.
That's true.
Um,
That's very
yeah,
true.
we know that one.
Hmm.
and then you have Amazon, so you pay for Amazon Prime, you get Prime Video.
Hmm.
That's the way it's been since Prime has came onto the scene. Now they want to charge you an additional $2.99 for no commercials on Prime whenever there weren't any.
That's another good point. I don't mean to cut you off, but originally with Amazon Prime, like that was like one of their biggest selling points before they did that whole price raise that you get no
Yeah.
ads, you
Yep.
get to watch content completely free, aside from paying that 14.99 every month. And now they want to lower the price and then make you pay an additional fee just to have no ads. Like
Oh, they're talking about actually lowering the price for Prime itself.
Well, I think they said something like that, but I don't think it's going to go into fruition. Again, it's just kind of
Mm,
speculation.
Right?
But I
Because
do know that like
everything's
everything
going
that
up
I've
right now.
seen,
Yeah.
everything that I've seen, they're keeping the price the same.
Mm,
But if you want to view the Prime Video content with no ads, it's an additional $2.99 as
right.
as an additional subscription under your Prime. Because you know
Mm,
how you can like subscribe to AMC or whatever
yeah. Yeah.
through
Yep.
Amazon. So
yeah,
that adds to your Amazon Prime subscription. So this is essentially the same thing. You would, pay the additional $2.99 and it would add it onto your Amazon Prime subscription, making it go from 14 or $15 to, you know, 17 or $18
Or
a
20 even.
month.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
What
know,
scares
and
me is everyone's moving towards the strong advertisement kind of approach, where with YouTube, for example, and Twitch now, if you have Twitch Prime, they're still rolling you ads. So I feel like we're going towards more of you remember Ready Player One? Do you remember like when
yes,
the corporate people took over the
whenever they
game
wanted to
and
take over your screen
everything?
space.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
feel like we're
yeah.
pushing more and more towards that, where even if you have the premium option, they still want to push ads down your throat as a secondary form of revenue.
Well,
It's
I
good
mean,
that you bring that up.
that's just like YouTube. Even whenever you have YouTube Prime,
Yeah.
the streamers that you watch are
Hmm.
pushing their own ads.
Yeah, and video
They're
ads, right?
sponsors
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so I'm paying to not watch this. And trust, I understand. I completely understand them doing it in their video.
Hmm.
That's their sponsor, whatever, what have you.
Hmm.
But I'm paying for this, yet I'm still getting an ad,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know. Or for example, I pay for the premium Spotify.
Yeah.
I listen to a podcast. I get 4, 5, 6 ads in a 45-minute podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
It's
Well, I don't mean to
it's kind of
segue,
crazy.
but I'd like to thank our sponsor today, ourselves. We're sponsored by ourselves.
Sponsored by Team Twisted. We have a
Yeah.
nice, lovely community. It's where a lot of our fun stuff happens. So, I mean, I don't mean to take the sponsor from you, but I do like talking
Nah,
about
you
the
got it,
server
man. You got it.
and our whole. I like talking about our lovely little community.
Hmm.
If you guys are ever looking for just a nice, chill place to stay, people to talk to, we have our own Discord server. We call it Twisted. We're Team Twisted. Back in the day, we did kind of host, game nights, stuff like that. We hopefully want to get that kind of stuff started again in the future. Just trying to be a little more chill, have a nice place for everybody to stay. So if you guys are ever looking to be a part of the community, maybe give us some feedback on episodes, suggestions, any cool stuff like that, join the server and shout at us. We'll take a look at it.
I'll have the link in the description once this is over.
Now back to the topic. It's good
Mhm.
that you bring up the whole like ad thing because was it about 3 or 4 years ago when like VR was really starting to take off?
Hmm.
Like we're talking like the release of like the Rift S and the Index.
Yep.
I remember was it Oculus, Facebook, Zuckerberg and all them. They were
Mhm.
allegedly talking about. I believe it was trying to implement ads into like the VR space. So like
Yeah.
some games, like you would see like things like McDonald's advertisements on billboards, things like
Yep.
that. And I'm just thinking, man, I, I come into that. I play games and
To
stuff like that to get
escape
away
reality.
to
Yeah.
escape reality. Get away from that. And just thinking about, man, I'm gonna go play, like 2 hours of say, Rainbow Six Siege or something like that. I go peek out the window, I'm peeking at Monty. I'm gonna see a good old Gillette advertisement just standing on the wall.
Right.
Like,
Right.
like I don't need to know about what the best a man can get while I'm spawn peeking.
I mean,
And
I'm just
that
waiting for the day that I'm driving in Grand Theft Auto and I start seeing, KFCs, Taco Bells, and stuff like that. I mean, they already have kind of the infrastructure with it, with the famous Clucking Bell or whatever.
Yeah, the Clucking Bell.
So
Right. Right. Now I don't have a
yeah,
problem with Clucking Bell actually, because it's based off of KFC, but it's their own thing.
well,
It's not KFC.
KFC and Taco Bell.
Or
kind
yeah,
of.
it's a mixture. You're right. Sorry about that.
Mm.
But now that does bring up the question, and maybe we'll feature this in the next episode is, are we starting to approach where in game, like the whole escaping reality portion of gaming, is that gonna be a fantasy to where only fantasy games are gonna have that, or are we gonna have essentially a not a microtransaction hell, but an advertisement hell, Where even in games now, we're seeing companies push advertisements and all this, and I don't know. It kind of does detract from the whole escaping reality, you're in your own world thing. At least for games like GTA and Rainbow Six, anything that's like modern based. Anything that's fantasy, of course, is, you know, like Genshin Impact, for example. Yeah, I don't really expect to see KFC in the middle of Genshin Impact, but you know what I mean, yeah. So that's possibly potentially a future topic. But back on the whole, do you own Steam/Epic Games, which is our actual topic here. Yeah, I mean, having the whole licensing thing is kind of sketchy. For me personally, I think that as long as Steam, what Steam's been doing stays like that, where their lawyers kind of have it like in concrete, and if they need to do something, they're covered, sort of thing. But they're never gonna like pull a Discovery, for example. As long as they're doing that, I'm okay with that. But I am concerned about the potential of when that license comes to renew, as Twisted said. Are they gonna? Was this them testing the waters? Was this them like preparing us for like, hey, we could do this at any time.
That's
we got
definitely what they were doing.
Yeah, we got our backlash the first time, but now you guys should expect it, sort of thing.
Yep. That's exactly what they were doing. They were testing the waters with Sony, and they did get that backlash. But you know, let's see what happens whenever that license agreement runs out again.
And I feel like there's also kind of like a marketing, not a marketing thing, but like it's almost planned, where they prepped everyone the first time to get all that backlash, but the second time it's obviously going to be much lower because everyone's like, okay, well, we saw this already, we should have expected it, sort of thing. So I mean,
and that's true, but it's also scummy at the same time.
Oh, absolutely.
If you think about it, right? So we went from PCs with disk drives and everything else in the computers, and from going to, you know, whatever retail store and purchasing,
yep,
you know, your hard disk copies, to PCs nowadays. Unless you have, I don't even think laptops come with disk drives anymore. So you've kind of put your consumer into this little box.
Yeah.
Who, let's be honest, everybody on the planet doesn't have a freaking law degree and isn't going to spend, you know, an hour and a half, 2 hours of their time
30 pages
to read
or something,
a 30-page term of service agreement to every download and every video game that they purchase or whatever.
Yeah.
So you've put them into a box where a lot of these people didn't even know that, you know, this is all under a licensing agreement.
Right.
A lot of people thought, okay, these, you know, the game developer is selling this game on this platform. Once I pay for this, I own it in perpetuity.
Yep.
And come to find out, that's not the case at all. I don't think it's cool. I think it needs to be
reworked or
reevaluated, most definitely, and maybe even, okay, so you have the licensing agreement to sell this video game from this date to this date, but the consumer has the, you know, the rights to this game for forever. You know, it's not that hard.
And there is a company that does that, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I do believe GOG has DRM free games where you buy it and you own that software forever, right?
I'm not sure.
Jaboon, I think that's correct, right?
It's been a little bit. I think it's something close to that. I know that GOG is very anti-DRM. It's actually why I bought a handful of my games from them, especially older games.
Yeah.
I do want to add on to what Twiz was saying, though. He kind of said the quiet part out loud, because I grew up in like an era where, back in my day, I was still buying World of Warcraft or, you know, things like that on disc copies. Like,
yeah, you got the box set, right?
Back in our days, man, or back in our day, we weren't You could download games off of Steam and stuff, yeah, but at the time that was still very slow, still a very new thing.
Yeah.
I went to Kmart and bought GTA 2 for the PC.
I was thinking, like,
yeah.
I remember buying a box copy of like the original StarCraft 2, like at Best Buy, you know, old World of Warcraft, like Burning Crusade, like box copies where you had to install multiple discs.
Yeah.
and they all had their separate launchers. At the time, that was still a very new thing.
Mm-hmm.
And every game either had at least a good 2 or 3 discs that were like big games, or
Oh,
you
yeah.
installed it off that disc, then installed patches from the server,
Yep.
or it's like it was shareware with a friend. Like back in the day, like sure you had some games where you had an account to make them, but a
Mhm.
lot of stuff you could give your copy to a friend. Give good old Joe over here like your copy of Command and Conquer, Red Alert.
Well, even Xbox
Right.
360 had where you could share it. You had Call of Duty, you could give
PS3
it to
did
your
too.
friend, or PS3 too as well. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
up until like 24. I mean, even you can even still kind of do the same with like disc games today. It's still like very like it's a little finicky now,
Mm-hmm.
but you can see where like the developers, everybody is just, or not even developers, just the big companies that are making the consoles and making PCs. I haven't had I haven't had an optical drive, floppy disk drive, CD-ROM drive, in my PC since 2009.
Yeah, yeah.
That is sad to think about. Since 2009.
Yeah, they've completely been phased out. Which,
Like-
I mean, at the same time, you could do the same sort of thing with USB, for example. So I think just the storage medium has changed in that regard.
Well,
But
no, that's fair, 100%.
But the whole not being able to share and stuff like that, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That sucks. Yeah, that definitely sucks.
In a way, I don't mind the not being able to share. All right, so developers have to get their money.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. You have a development team that's spending hours and hours and hours. Fine. You don't want us to let each other borrow games or give old copies of games so somebody doesn't have to buy it. Fine.
Yeah.
I get that. But don't screw over your consumer and show that you're that much more greedy by letting a licensing agreement run out, and then your consumer doesn't have access to the content
The way
that
they
they
paid for it.
purchased
Yeah.
fairly outright. Because at that point, your streaming services will literally be mud, like dead ass. Nobody is going to sit there and continue purchasing things from Steam
Mm-hmm.
over, you know what, I'm going to throw a optical disk drive in this PC, and I'm just going to purchase my games disc copy. And if they don't sell them disc copy, I guess I just won't play the game.
And that's
It's as
another
simple as
good topic for next episode is essentially doing the whole games are now streaming services, and everything's moving towards a streaming service. So that'll be one that I'll put in for next episode, because that's a pretty good topic too, and it's definitely an interesting one in this day and age.
My biggest thing with the whole like them moving towards purely online, or you have to have a key every time, like that whole authentication service of being online and not having a physical copy anymore, is it messes with like preservation of like the older hardware and older games.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Like
e-waste. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like I get it. We want to move towards like everything's in one spot. That's completely fine, or things like that. I get it.
Mhm.
But when you have things like Cyberpunk 2077, the way it was at launch, Warcraft 3 Reforged, games like all these games that are having disasters at launch, or things that people are going to want to look back on, or even just preserve to make sure that it's still running well.
Mhm.
Nobody's gonna be able to document that if we're moving towards a purely digital era.
Yeah.
Because if we're purely playing off of Steam, purely playing off of PlayStation Online, buying your game for like $60 digitally and moving away from disc copies in general,
Mhm.
Well, see,
we're not gonna
that's
be able to preserve that hardware.
that's
very
also
true.
why I kind of moved away from consoles,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
to be able to play your game on console, whether it's Xbox or PlayStation, you have to have either what is it? I know it was PSN at one point, PlayStation Network, but it's called something else now. But it's the same shit. You have to have that subscription, or
Yep.
you have to have Xbox Live subscription. Period. So you're paying monthly or every 6 months or yearly, whichever, for that subscription. Plus, you're playing for your games.
Yeah,
And then you're going to say, oh well, we need money to keep the servers up. What do you mean you need money to keep the servers up?
you're making enough off of
You-
that.
that's-
sale,
you're
Yeah.
making enough off the console plus all of the accessories. Okay. And then the games themselves. You're not connecting to Xbox servers. You're not connecting to PlayStation servers. You're connecting to the game itself servers. So what do you mean?
Right.
What you mean?
That's another thing,
So
though. Almost every game now, which this is the way the market's kind of going, unfortunately, in some regards, is it's a live service. We have to keep the game a live service, and that prolongs the game. I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. I just think that in terms of making the game kind of last forever, it's not gonna happen, especially with like a small studio, an indie dev or something. They can't really afford to keep those servers on if the game doesn't sell well for an indefinite amount. There's like a handful of games these days, maybe more. I might be a little ignorant to the fact that there's other ones I don't know, but you got World of Warcraft that's been out for what 20 plus years now, I think. You have RuneScape, you got all these Lord of the Rings Online, I think might still be a thing. I'm not sure. But yeah, you don't have many.
Which that's so being that World of Warcraft keeps coming up. To be honest, I think that was testing the waters. Blizzard tested the waters to see if people would be willing to pay for a game and then pay for a subscription.
And expansions on top of that.
And pay for expansions on top of that.
Yeah.
So they tested the waters for consoles. Because the PlayStation 2, you could put it online. You didn't need PlayStation Network.
Yep.
None of that shit.
That's true. Yep.
All
Good
right.
point.
PlayStation 3 comes out. Oh, you need PSN. Xbox 360 comes out. Oh, you need Xbox Live. Because the original Xbox, you could plug in an Ethernet cord and you're off to the races.
Well, no, with the PS3, let me cut you off there. The PS3. Oh, sorry. Gotcha. Even with like the PS3, you didn't have to pay online to play. I mean, some games had it, some games did, where like it was a certain handful where they try to make you pay for like a season pass or anything like that to play online, which that didn't last long at all. Trust, that did not last long at all. But that's why I stuck with PS3 before I like what 2014 is because I'm not gonna go buy a 360, even if like the hardware may be a little better for games.
Yeah.
If I'm having to pay $14.99 every month just to play fucking Black Ops 2. Like,
yeah,
it was a no-brainer for me at the time when I was still in school. But now when 2014 comes around, Sony says, screw it, charge everybody $14.99 a month just to give them one free game and to play online, completely following the whole Xbox shenanigans. I built me a PC. I haven't looked back since. I still have a console downstairs for some exclusives, but I'm not paying every month to play.
And that's really the only reason these days where I would even consider it is just buying it for the exclusives, because everything on the Xbox is on PC, and you don't have to pay for Xbox Gold or whatever.
Live,
whatever it is.
For Xbox Live, you don't have to play for PSN,
which is a very antiquated model, and I feel like we're in that age where we should start getting out of that because. You don't need these expensive dedicated servers to run all this. It's all now become affordable. The technology has matured. So
well, at the end of the day, too, is what developers and people need to understand is, everything is expensive. You go to the grocery store, you're getting 6-7 bags of groceries for $200.
Exactly.
You're already paying for an internet connection. And some places it's cheap, some places not so much. So our parents or of gamers or gamers themselves going to continue to be able to afford this model? We've went from video games being $40 to video games being $50 to $60 to now $70.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple that have dropped for $100, and a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, well, if you can't afford $100, don't play the game." I agree, but at the same time, how long does that business model last before nobody's buying these games?
Right.
My thing with that is like that whole "if you can't afford it, don't play." I think it's a terrible argument by people. Not because like, oh, if a game is $60, don't buy it. That I can get.
Yeah.
$60 is $60. But when we're going to 70 all the way up to 100, just be able to like play a game, especially with those games that are going up to 100, having almost like essential DLC or stuff like that. Like, I kind of want to segue into a different topic with that too. Not different topic, but I guess kind of similar. Like with live service games and things like that, we're getting to a point where you're paying almost the entire game price just for like an expansion that doesn't even last that long.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, have we seen like when with COD they were originally advertising, MW3 as an expansion, or like Destiny is a great example. I want to talk about Destiny.
They've
Oh,
changed
God.
their whole entire thing a few times.
I
now.
want to because now Destiny is a free to play game after all this time.
Right.
After I paid money for it, but we
Good
won't talk
point.
about
Good
that.
point. No refunds.
I didn't
nothing.
get a
That-
refund.
That's a whole other discussion. But so your base DLC for Destiny, especially like say Shadow Keep, which we don't talk about that one. What is it? Forsaken, things like that.
Mhm.
All of them are $40 on their own. Fair enough. I'm used to paying at least 30 or 40 for an expansion, especially for a live service, MMO like game. That's fine. But when Destiny's model or games like that, or games are getting to that point, because I see Bungie and stuff is getting away with it, where Bungie is making another annual pass or season pass or
Yeah,
content for
yeah.
like another 30 or 40 bucks for content that, while is not essential, it kind of is because of how the player base and community is, to where if you don't have, say, items or are able to do content from these areas, that you're pretty much not allowed to hang out with the cool kids pretty much.
Yeah.
They make it structured in such a way to
FOMO.
where exactly.
Yeah.
We're moving more towards like a FOMO like business model with even just like television, games and all that.
Yeah.
Especially with the whole like,
The one thing
just
that
in
I
general.
the one thing that I will give Call of Duty props on, and there's not much that you can, but at the very least, their battle pass, if you don't buy it, you can still get the new weapons.
Oh,
out
they're
of it and
releasing in
all
the
that
next
stuff.
season. Right. Right. Yeah.
Well, not even in the next season. Like the sectors in their battle pass, okay, are free even if you don't buy the battle pass. So you
I
get your
gotcha.
tokens, you can unlock that sector.
Yeah.
And at the very least, you can get the guns, the new content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whenever they drop a new map, you've got that new map. All right. Now there used to be an old Call of Duty business model, right? If you didn't pay for the new maps, you didn't get them. Period. You literally had to pay for those new maps.
Yep.
And it would always come out in like 3 separate ones. So you'd get 3 maps, so 9 new maps.
Mhm.
Probably 1 or 2 new guns per pack or whatever, and they usually cost anywhere between 10 to 20 bucks.
Right.
So now with the battle passes, every 2 or 3 months that they drop,
I think it's 3.
you get,
Yeah. Every 3 months.
you
or
get
so.
all these new operator skins for $20. All right, you get all these new operator skins, you get the new weapons, and you get the new maps. All right.
Mhm.
If you don't buy the battle pass, you get the new maps, you get the new weapons, you just don't get the skins. And there's a lot of people that don't give a shit about the skins. At least they're getting the content. So I can give Activision that little bone.
Mm-hmm. Well, without going off topic too much, there's other companies I think do a little better job, but we can save that for another one. But to end that topic, yeah, you'll have that. I mean,
Yeah,
have
you
that.
will
you'll have that. Exactly.
You'll have that.
Yep. Now to segue into a similar topic that just recently actually gained some traction, Capcom's new DRM fiasco. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with this, but this is actually more of a recent thing.
Oh, I've been
Not
reading up on
entirely
this.
sure
I
about
love
it.
this. I love how this has been going down.
Oh
Are they
yeah.
gonna like steal your mods or make it to where you can't mod it anymore?
Oh, just wait. No.
no.
So basically, there's a I'm not gonna give light to this person, but there's someone on I think Reddit or Twitter, I don't remember which, that's known to be like a fear monger sort of guy, and he made a post saying that Capcom's new DRM that they're retroactively implementing is gonna break everything. I mean, we're talking about all the thousands of mods are going to be not working. It's going to be laggy and this and that. Now, essentially what it boils down to is Capcom has a history of using de novo DRM for their new games, and then segueing off to Enigma DRM because its licensing is cheaper. Now both of those, for anyone that doesn't know, both of those are kernel level. So, meaning that they essentially run, they have direct access to your like CPU, your memory, and your hardware. Now that's, I wouldn't be scared of that per se, because a lot, and I do mean a lot, of anti-cheat runs on kernel. A lot of people don't realize that. Easy anti-cheat is kernel level. Vanguard is kernel level. Like there's a ton. I mean, there's literally like almost all of the anti-cheat except Valve's anti-cheat is kernel level. So that doesn't shock me. Now, they have implemented the DRM changes, I think, to a few games, and the actual mod community has come out and said there's nothing broken. All our mods are working, and there's no like weird issues or anything. So this is an interesting fiasco here where this one person caused this uproar based on, I would say, 50% false information and 50 kind of factual. Because they do change their DRMs because of licensing. So what do you guys think about that? And do you think Capcom deserves the heat they've been getting for this decision?
I mean, if it breaks the games that are allowed to be ran with mods, right? Then yeah, that's stupid.
But well, here's the thing: is Capcom doesn't have an anti-cheat, so you technically, I don't know if you're supposed to mod or not. That's the thing. So like, I have Monster Hunter World that I've been playing a lot recently, and there's tons of mods for it, and there's even cheats. Yes, there are cheats. I don't use them. I don't even use mods actually. But I know there's mods that are just like purely cosmetic, and there's mods that are like quality of life. So a lot of people thought that this DRM change would break all of those mods collectively. And then there's another tidbit of this that I'm going to add in. Capcom actually did copyright strike a few YouTubers based on them, I think, showcasing a mod to do with Chun-Li. Jaboon, am I right there? I think you're...
I'll say,
it was like
I think we were talking about that.
Yeah,
I think it was like a mod similar to that, but there is also other mods that were kind of like.
So it was a mod for like for example, Chun-Li.
So okay, to go back a little bit.
Another game?
No. Oh, well, it wasn't in Monster Hunter. Was it a Monster Hunter tournament? I don't remember.
It's been so long since I've looked at it, but I think you're kind of close.
Basically, you know how Japanese culture is with, you know, if you disrespect someone, like their image of what they want, it's very offensive. So someone took Chun-Li and had a nude mod. Capcom did not like that. Capcom being a Japanese-oriented company, they found it very offensive because it was not how they wanted the character to be portrayed, and it was almost like demeaning. So they copyright striked the video, and there's been kind of like an uproar on that because I think the dude's channel almost got deleted. But I think Asmongold brought a really good point to this. It's not Capcom's fault that his channel almost got deleted. That's on YouTube.
That's on YouTube, yeah.
Capcom simply just struck the video because they didn't want
a copyright. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't want that image portrayed of one of their characters.
But YouTube's terms of service is not, you can't put nudity on YouTube.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
it's been a little loose lately. Same thing with Twitch.
Okay,
that's the whole time for another day.
It's loose, whatever. But that's still terms of service.
Right, you can.
You know, whenever you start up a YouTube channel, it literally sends you. I think it's either in your email or maybe it's even a pop-up of the terms of service that you have to agree to.
Yep.
You know, and in that, because let's be honest, nobody starts up a YouTube channel to not try to get famous or make money or whatever. So you need to be reading that, because that's if you do turn it into a career, that's your bread right there. That's all of your money that goes into the account. So why wouldn't you read that terms of service agreement? And figure out, you know, okay, what can I do? What can't I do? And you're going to sit here. I don't care if it's a cartoon or not. You're going to sit here and display a naked, anything, male, female, whatever, what have you,
right,
on a platform that you know you can't. And then you're going to cry. Really? You're gonna shed a tear because you almost got your channel deleted? I personally think your channel should have been deleted. Period.
I mean, it's fair.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
definitely fair.
I mean,
if
I
you
can't
do
disagree with that take because I mean, you're violating the terms of service, number one, and then you're actively trying to advertise that shit. So yeah, that's completely
play
fair.
stupid games, win stupid prizes. I mean, and that's that.
But I
You
think it's
know?
also extended, and I might be wrong on this. So pardon my ignorance. I think it's extended to a couple mods that maybe not aren't nudity based, but do change the way some characters are viewed in terms of like perhaps not the direction that Capcom wants them viewed, and they've also copy struck some of those too.
Okay, but
Again, I don't
again.
think the problem is with Capcom striking them. I think the problem is with how YouTube's system overall does not work. Their copyright system is very broken, and that's going to be definitely a topic for another video. But their copyright system is very broken.
On Capcom's side, I absolutely agree with them. Copyright strike the crap out of them, and if the same person continuously reoffends, sue them. You know, so that's copywritten stuff
Yep.
that they own.
Yep.
All right, and you're going in and you're taking models from one game and bringing it into another game.
Mhm.
What's to say you're not only doing that with Capcom stuff in other games that isn't Capcom?
Mhm. Well, there is a modding scene, and I think that we should encourage a modding scene. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not saying
but
modding's wrong.
but don't steal
Yeah.
your character models and shit from other people's hard work.
Well,
Yeah, that's literally like taking someone's art, right, that they worked real hard on, whatever it is, whether it's a sculpture, a drawing, whatever.
Mhm.
Right, you take it and then you go around and you tell her, oh, I did this, and then you sell it. It's the same thing.
Well, they're not selling it. They're not making any profit on it. They're just
but
distributing
it's the
it.
principle of it. It's what he's trying
But
to say.
yeah, I get what
it.
you mean. Absolutely.
But at the same time, how does everybody know that they're not selling it in some form, maybe with another mod on another game?
That's fair. I mean, there's so many you probably wouldn't be able
you
to
take that asset,
Mhm.
right? You've taken that asset. I've literally seen like SL, for example. I have literally seen people steal assets from video games, bring them into SL, put them on their SL stores, and then sell them.
So
right?
for those that don't know, SL is short for Second Life. It's a 3D virtual world, and there's a lot of copyright infringement that goes on in there, as well as VR chat, and I think Roblox.
Yeah, Roblox. I'm glad you mentioned that because I used to be a Roblox creator back in the day.
But the reason why I bring up SL is because that one in particular is so egregious that literally I have literally went to SL stores and I'm all like, wait a minute, I've seen these builds in Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
They're direct rips.
I've went to Sims that is literally 5 Sims connected, and it is literally a rip.
Again,
out of
to educate our viewers, a sim is like, you keep acting like everyone knows. A sim is like this large chunk. It's almost like a big room that you own and you put stuff down in.
Yeah. But no, they've done the landscape, they've done all the buildings, the statues even.
Yes, it's like a direct rip, but the thing that's
everything.
the most egregious part of this, right, is that they're selling it
And then they've
as
sold
their
it.
own, which I think that is definitely copyright infringement, and that should be protected. Absolutely,
Right.
yes.
So, and I'm at this sim. I asked the owner, well, how much did you pay for this? Right?
Mm-hmm.
How much did you pay for this sim build? Oh, $750 USD.
Wow. Yeah.
So wait a minute.
Yeah.
These people ripped all these buildings, all these statues, all of the landscaping, everything.
Yeah, like a 1-to-1. Yeah.
From this game.
Making that dough.
Plopped it down into this game
Mm-hmm.
and charged you $750 to do this. Yeah, no, not cool.
Mm-mm. No, I'm
Yeah.
glad you mentioned like ripping and stuff because that's actually happening with Roblox, which is another like the Roblox, which is another big metaverse world now too.
Huge.
It's
Yeah.
blown up,
Yeah.
and I've seen just doing research. I've seen pretty much people have made assets that are pretty much exact clones of things from like say Genshin Impact or SCP, things that have trademark, copyright infringement, all that, and they're being sold for the in-game currencies on the store page
Yeah.
and being sold left and right. I'm surprised that Roblox hasn't even gotten a DMCA or anything like that yet. Because
Same.
people
Yeah.
people are making money off this. All it takes is you being a successful creator and enrolling in a program to start making these. And all you have to do is make models for it or even
Yep.
upload your own models. Like I've
Yeah.
seen it's disgusting.
Yep. And with VR chat, for example, I think that whole custom avatar thing is 99.9 repeating percent other characters, other models from other things that are imported in and rigged.
At least with some of those things in VR chat, though, they are doing their own spin on it to kind of like steer away from it being copyright. At least they're trying their own take with some of those models.
Yeah.
And
But
that's
it's still
fine.
kind of an iffy ground. Just
But
because
whenever
Absolutely.
it's a one,
copyright.
but whenever it's a 1-to-1 and you're making money off of it,
Yeah,
even
no,
if
that
it
is
is
there's no
in-game
debating
currency,
that. Yeah, there's no debating that.
even if it is in-game currency, currency's currency. Period.
I mean,
Oh.
still, they're still making money off with the company and the person with it.
Yeah.
No.
All right, well,
that.
you'll have
We kind
that.
of got off topic, right?
Yeah.
But you'll have that.
Yep. Alrighty, so next topic. Let's move to YouTube ad blocker shenanigans. That is you, Jaboon, so go right ahead.
All right, so I've been following this for a little bit. I know it's kind of a little different from what we've been talking about here with the whole the whole video
Is it
game
though?
Shenanigans.
Because we've been talking about.
We have been
fair
talking about
enough.
advertisements. Yeah,
we've
that's-
been going all over. But for anyone who doesn't know and people that might be a little uneducated, YouTube does like to shower you with advertisements, which I'm sure many people have seen, unless you're a YouTube Premium owner, things like that, or if you use like, for example, an ad blocker. But over the course of like the past, 2-3 months, people have been noticing that with an ad blocker, YouTube videos like buffering or even just playing in general, or even on certain like web browsers that aren't, say, Chromium, aren't working well.
I use Firefox, and I'm even every time I go to YouTube and try to start up a video, if my ad blocker's up, it tells me to take my ad blocker down. So I wind up having to do that, and then here I am, every few minutes having to click to
skip that.
skip the
yeah.
ad or whatever, or whatever. And to be honest, I've had premium before. All right, I didn't watch enough YouTube content to justify paying for premium. Now that I do, and I was seriously thinking about buying premium because of my smartphone, my tablet.
Yeah,
all
it's just
that stuff.
convenient, right?
You know, it would have been convenient. But now that they've done that, because I am who I am, I refuse to get premium now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
totally
no.
fair.
If you're that scummy,
It's
to
like out
want
of spite,
even more money,
Yeah, yeah.
then no, I'm good. Mm-mm.
Well, I do want to add, because it's been a whole big thing over like the past 3 months. Because I know I think it's gone on even longer. I know it started with YouTube. As Swiss said, it would be popping up, "Hey, disable your ad blocker." Like that just started very, very recently.
Yeah.
Or not very recently, but it started a good while ago. That's how like they first started doing things. And I know a lot of people noticed their ad blockers or that they were using weren't working, and they'd still get ads or that'd pop up and pretty much just ruin their whole experience with using YouTube. And it's gotten progressively worse. Allegedly, I heard lately that they're actually slowing down your CPU, or like it's putting more
video.
stress and like
Yeah.
load on your CPU. So
I've
it's
heard
not
that too,
buffering.
which it's also slower
Just in
every
general.
time in general, because I remember last year, the year before, I would go to YouTube immediately, everything pop right up. all the videos. Now, whenever I go to YouTube, it's like
There's like
3
a
or
little
4 seconds.
yeah, and
I have
then
Yeah,
all these little
I
black
noticed that
boxes,
in
Yep,
Firefox.
yeah.
and then
too.
it pops in. And my question, right? Here's my big question: at what point do we as consumers look at this and see it as so egregious? Because okay, 2023, right? YouTube made 7.95 billion in ad revenue. All right, with a B. You made
That's a big capital B, by the way.
Oh yeah.
7.95 billion in ad revenue, and you're gonna sit here and tell everybody that you're not making enough money? Cry me a fucking river. And make it to where ad blockers don't work. YouTube, you're owned by Google. If I look up how much Google made in 2023,
Mhm.
I'm sure it's a lot more. Google.
And while he's searching that to kind of shed a little bit more light here, these companies don't need the money. They're not hurting for the money whatsoever.
Okay,
No.
Google's let's see. 2023 1.756 trillion with a T. Of course.
But yeah, I mean, to go off of what Twiz is saying here, absolutely. But we're in this kind of ecosystem where we need to keep going higher and higher and higher. There's no end in sight to constantly appease these investors. They just always expect a higher return.
Yeah, they expect a higher number. Everyone's seeing it. I mean,
Win is good enough.
I can
Right.
jump off. I can jump off of Google and YouTube right now and smack NVIDIA upside the head with their scummy business practices and what they're trying to do to gamers and stuff like that. I mean,
Which that's another topic right there
That's another
again.
topic that we can have for next episode too.
Yes, absolutely. Which just to kind of like just play off of that just a little bit, NVIDIA actually did a pro gamer move recently where they reduced the prices of their lineups and give them a refresh in the super lineup.
was that a pro gamer move, or was that a move egged on by the government hitting them with sanctions for China? They can't sell 4090s in China anymore, so they ripped 4090s off the shelves.
No, they're still sell 4090s at the same price. That's why I don't think it's that.
Well, they've quit manufacturing 4090s.
No, they still do. 4090s are still being manufactured and sold to this day. But I think that they started noticing that, first of all, they're not selling much because we are in a recession. People don't have the money to like go $1,400 on a GPU, or 1,300.
Almost $2,000 if you're getting anything other than a Founders Edition.
Yeah, exactly right. So NVIDIA's like, okay, we should calm down, especially with AMD now. Now, me personally, I don't think AMD's GPUs are at that level of stability and just the technology isn't that of NVIDIA's, but
right. But now you have Intel.
It's good to have competition, of course,
but
and
now
they're
you also
forcing. Intel
you
Arc.
also have Intel coming in.
Yeah, Intel Arc's been a thing now, so NVIDIA's starting to get a little competition, and they're like, hey, let's lower the prices a little bit. We're asking too much now. So I think that was good on them for doing that.
It was good on them, but it doesn't. Yeah. It does not take away from the fact that they made all of this money during COVID. By the way, all right, they grossed all this money, and the investors still said,
"We want more."
More.
Yep. And
we want more.
Yep. And that's a really dense topic, so we're not going to get into that because that could go on for a while in itself. But
that'd be the whole podcast, right?
Exactly, wouldn't it? Yeah, but you're absolutely correct in the sense that greed is just outrageous with these investors.
Talking about greed, though, can I kind of segue back to like our original topic with
sure.
This segment?
Mm-hmm.
even with the whole ad blocker shenanigans going on where people are getting their stuff slowed down, it's even happening with YouTube Premium users
Yep.
too.
Yeah, I
Like,
heard about that. Yeah.
what is it? I want to thank. There was this article by PC Gamer and somebody on Reddit. I've completely forgot their name, but it was a really big thing that was put on Reddit. And thank you to Luis Rossman as well. He's been shining a huge light on the situation and doing a great job documenting it.
Hmm.
It's helped a lot. Yeah, I can't speak English today, man. Oh my
It's
gosh,
all right.
it's been helping out a
Words are
lot
hard.
with the research. They are hard. YouTube Premium users, just by having ad block installed, even on a Chromium-based browser, which the way this all started was if you're using ad blocker or not on a Chromium-based browser, i.e., Firefox or things like that, you're pretty much screwed.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
with Premium, if you just had ad blocker installed at all for like say other websites anything like that, but you still paid for YouTube Premium,
Hmm.
it was still slowing down your browser and slowing everything down, which I think is absolutely despicable. That you're punishing your paid customers
Exactly.
just for having a trace of an ad blocker on their system at all. Which
Yeah,
is,
they went full nuclear on this, which I don't think that was the right move whatsoever. And I saw this coming actually with their whole Web 3.0 thing, because they were announcing all these innovations and this and that to Chrome. I was like, okay, and then some people started reading the notes, right? And they're talking about some incompatibilities with old plugins that don't comply with Web 3.0. Well, now I guess their specifications, whatever, it actually disabled a lot of ad blockers. So that's where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make the jump to Firefox. It's less predatory. It's open source and it's ran by a community, so I think I'll just go to Firefox. I loved Firefox ever since. I think it's great.
Mhm.
It's a
Plus, another
little
thing
bit
with
buggy,
Firefox.
but
I love Firefox. I'm a Firefox user too. I've used it for years.
Same.
If you've noted, I don't know how long you've been doing the whole YouTube stuff for Austin, but I've been doing it for a while myself. I don't know if you noticed, but like as Google and YouTube have like slowly updated their stuff more and more, it's like they're slowly moving away from supporting Firefox or the non-Chromium based.
yeah.
Like with YouTube's video editor or like video analysis is a great example.
Mhm.
You can't use the legacy anymore. And then when they did do the update, like I think it was back in 2015, 2016, roughly around there.
Mhm.
It was unbearable for anybody on Firefox. It was so slow. It wasn't working properly at all. And there was no alternative or be able to revert back to the old version that worked smooth as butter.
Yeah.
And it's like we're slowly seeing this whole, punishing people for not sticking with anything Google based and punishing people that don't want to sit there through like 5 minutes of very invasive ads.
Mhm.
Another thing with the whole ads is a lot of the reason why people are using these ad blockers, Google, anybody that might be listening, is just the ads are not getting tailored to customer experience anymore, or just are good ads in general. Like I remember, at least back in 2013, I could get an ad for a new chair and it'd be at least kind of useful. Nowadays, the ads are getting to the point where you're getting advertised scams, you're getting advertised, say, very
Adult
suggestive products.
diapers.
Yeah, like random
Exactly,
stuff, right?
Very suggestive, very freaking suggestive,
Yeah.
content, or just in general. Like I've seen entire episodes of say like documentaries and stuff that like an hour long be advertised that were unskippable before, like back in the day. And not just that, like very suggestive, like say, things for adults that I don't think a child should see on advertising, or even a 13-year-old. The main demographic of YouTube, you know what I mean? Just like nobody wants to see that crap,
Right.
but it's being advertised to people and nobody wants to see it. So of course they.
Well, I
they
guess
buy
that's why they
premium.
rolled out YouTube for kids.
Who's using YouTube for kids? Let's get into that topic. Actually, since we're on the-
3-year-olds.
bro. Completely off topic. Segueing off for a second. Actually, no, that's a whole topic for the next video.
Yeah,
I'll
let's
talk about that. I'll talk about that on the next one. I'm gonna continue on this like little the little shenanigans here. But it's like, who's gonna want to sit there through a few minutes of ads or like a few seconds if all it's gonna be advertised and stuff that's just gonna discuss somebody and discourage them from wanting to even watch the content they were originally gonna watch.
Yeah, now I will say, oh sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go
Ahead. You're good. Go ahead. Go to you.
The only company for me that has gotten advertisements right, and I'm like, okay, wow, I could actually buy this, Instagram. I don't know how.
Instagram.
I don't know how, but Instagram knows exactly what I want before I know I want it.
Yep.
It's crazy.
You just messed up. You were so right about that.
Their
I'll be-
ads are definitely on point.
Yep.
Dude, I'll
Like,
be thinking like I remember seeing was it somebody wearing like a hoodie or something on Instagram. I think it was like a fan merch hoodie from like Hollow Live,
Hmm.
which is, I'm sure you've heard of, you know, the whole big old VTuber thing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I was like, man, that thing looks really cool. I wonder where I can get me like one of those. I'm really enjoying how this looks. It's pretty nice.
Yep.
I swipe away from the post. It's right there on the advertisement, the whole website and everything. I have the hoodie right there in my bed.
Yep.
I bought the hoodie. So, you know, Instagram advertisement.
Good on you,
up.
Instagram. Good on you.
Thank
You
you,
actually, you know,
Instagram.
right.
You actually
And the
do
thing
well.
about it, but the thing about Instagram's ads too, they're not invasive as shit.
no, you just
No,
scroll right
like-
past them. That's it.
And
It doesn't force you to sit there and look at it. Like it's not like, you know,
if I'm watching if I'm watching
Right.
a video or a little short on Instagram,
Hmm.
there's not an ad in my face before I can watch it. You know,
It's
so-
unskippable ads. I think that are like the worst because you get them on Snapchat as well. If you have a public story, you have to sit through at least 5 seconds before you can skip it.
I mean,
That's the
yeah,
whole thing, man, is
even
like-
even the skippable ads.
Well,
like
yeah, I
that whole
mean-
5 seconds. Look, life is finite. You're taking even if it is 5 seconds, you after 10
That's 10
ads,
seconds out of my life.
after 10 ads, you've taken 50 seconds, almost a minute of my life away. So
But I mean, at the
Think of
same
all the stuff I
time,
can
you
do.
have to get that bread. You know, the company has to get some sort of advertisement out to be able to flourish. Sorry, go ahead,
Even
Jaboon.
without the advertisements they do, like you get clicks, you get people viewing streams, stuff like that. You get people paying for, you know, with their whole uploading movies, shows, and all that on here now. what
the
you pay
Google
for.
homepage has freaking ads all over it too. I
Yeah.
mean, you're getting ad revenue on top of ad revenue on top of ad revenue. Like, come on, bro.
It's
Fair
just
enough.
it kind of goes back to what we're talking about like earlier with the whole greed thing. Is like when is it enough?
Exactly.
These are trillion-dollar companies that have no reason to be doing this. I mean, I get it. They want to make more money. Everybody wants to make more money. That's completely fine. But it's like you are sitting comfortably right now. You're at like the top of the world, and you're gonna come after somebody who just doesn't want to watch like 10 seconds of ads to get to the point where they need to in a video.
And their whole approach is very, very aggressive. I don't understand
It's very
why.
aggressive and invasive to the consumer.
Yeah.
That's my big problem.
Mm,
Yeah.
When we're getting to the point we are tampering with somebody's hardware in their system, slowing down their entire computer experience almost so they cannot watch a video is disgusting.
Yeah,
Yep.
very true. You'll have that.
Y'all have that.
You will have that.
Alrighty,
Right.
and then the next one, let's do Amazon product tomfoolery. Jaboon, you again. What is this?
Another one from good old Jaboon. All right, so on the topic of companies just not knowing when enough's enough. Amazon's a great example of that. Don't be wrong. I've ordered from Amazon over the years plenty of times. A lot of products, a lot of things advertised to me. Having that 2-day shipping, that fast shipping, or getting something reliably right when I need it is nice. I think we can all agree on that here.
Oh yeah.
Amazon
Oh,
has
yeah.
definitely come in clutch at times.
Mhm.
Most of my stuff comes from Amazon, so
Yeah, but Amazon lately has been kind of coming under heat from not only just consumers, but I'd say bigger content creators, things like that. Something I really wanted to get into. Well, two things. We'll go ahead and start with one of my biggest things lately is one that was pointed out by Luis Rossmann. I love the guy to death. I know I've already talked about him. He helps me study a lot of these things very well. He documents it like no other for me and makes sure that the consumer's voice is heard. He's a very consumer-based guy, rights to repair, all that stuff. So
Mhm.
thank you, Luis, for that. Lately, what he has, kind of found out and has been watching on Amazon over the years is, of course, Amazon does tailor to your needs and everything that you are looking for, what you want. He said, let's say, for example, you need a fuse off of Amazon or things like that for, say, car parts, electronics, all that. He went ahead and bought these highly rated fuse parts that had about 4 or 5 stars that are obviously have lots of reviews that are highly rated. They look like they're reliable, especially from the reviews. And he buys them and he tests them out. These things are not going to do anything that you need them to do. They're terrible. They are not designed to last or work at all. Because it could set your house on fire.
Oh wow.
Um, and you can't see really any negative reviews. And even when you look for them, it's like they're practically overshadowed by everybody else saying, "Oh, it's so great" and all that. But it's
Yeah.
like,
But
those aren't
they're
real
paid
reviews.
they're paid for
paid
bot
reviews.
reviews.
I do think they're
That's what
botting
we're gonna.
reviews. Yeah.
That's what he said. Those
Mhm.
paid for bot reviews completely overshadow the issues with the product.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, that's been an issue for years.
Which
But when Amazon is
that's also an issue with Google reviews these days. Like you can give a negative, and that's the thing. Okay, if you have a negative experience somewhere, whether it's with a product, a place, or anything like that,
Mhm.
those reviews should stay there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, a company can literally hit up Google and have your review removed and say, "Oh, they were that
They're
this is
lying
a
about your
malicious
product.
Oh,
review."
it's yeah.
And all of that. I've seen that with a lot of companies, especially on Google, where I've researched them. I've seen, okay, here's a bunch of negative reviews here lately,
Mhm.
and then I go back to it a month later and I can't find those reviews at all anymore
Wow.
because they've been removed.
So
Sorry to cut you off, by the way.
No, you're good, man. You're
I
saying
just
what
had
you
a
wanted to say.
thought.
No, we're all good. But my main thing with it is just like these are things that people are like looking at that they need every day or need for like a fix, and they're not gonna want to go to Home Depot down the way or go all the way out to a Lowe's if they don't have to. If they can get it, say next day shipping or order it from somewhere cheaper and more thing that's more reliable, they're gonna do that, and that's perfectly justified. That's completely justified. I would do the same thing if I was in their spot. Like if say fuse or something like something like that went out and say my refrigerator like in my oven, if I could find a replacement part for that on Amazon, I'd go buy it. But
Fair enough,
after
yeah.
seeing this and seeing how like Amazon's trying to tailor the reviews so that way you'll go spend that $10, because I want you to think about it this way: if somebody buys this and they test it and they think it's total crap, good point pointed out by again the man himself. They're
Lewis
not gonna
Rawson, yeah.
they're not gonna want to package it all up and go return it, wait 2-3 days for a refund. That's gonna get completely overshadowed by shipping costs.
That's very fair, yeah.
Like, tell me, if you're spending $20 on a fuse and you have to not only wait a few days for your support ticket from Amazon or customer service, you have to send the thing back either completely damaged or completely screwed up. They're already going to tear up the packaging, tear up the product. It's a good 50-50 whether or not you're going to get your money back. And even then, it's not going to be a whole amount.
Yeah.
Like, no one's going to want to go through that effort. They're going to be like, well, just screw it with any product like that.
That's very true.
The fact that Amazon's trying to tailor products that could potentially even just hurt somebody, and set a fire to their house, things like just anything like that is just going to obviously not be good for the consumer and make just a quick buck off of it and advertise these shoddy, marketplace sellers that obviously don't care about their product or the consumer. They only care about the money and bring more revenue to Amazon. And Amazon won't give proper exposure to good marketplace sellers and help out the consumer, and only cares about that quick 10-15 bucks from each sale is kind of disgusting. What do you guys think about that? Do you think Amazon needs some competition, or just something needs to be taken action on, or what's up?
Well, I'm just wondering, why are you seeing less and less well-known companies that specify in these areas on Amazon than you did back whenever Amazon first came out?
That's exactly what he pointed out. Sorry, go ahead.
Because I've noticed that myself.
I think that has to do with the fact that e-commerce today is a lot more viable than back in the day, where the whole infrastructure just cost a lot and the upkeep was pretty high. Whereas nowadays, there's a lot of companies that will do it for you for a very very decent price. I mean, to be very specific, back when what's that website? I think Get Daddy or something. Where the link GoDaddy
yeah.
had a whole thing where you could set up a whole e-commerce website within 5 minutes, and then you pay like $10 a month. So
Right, but at the same time, most people want to use Amazon because they have an Amazon Prime account and they don't have to pay for shipping.
yeah,
And that is a great business model. All right.
Well, it
So
is and isn't, and I wanted to touch on this as well, which kind of explains why Jaboon brought up what he brought up is how Amazon's whole entire revenue makeup works. They don't actually make a lot of money off of Amazon Marketplace. That's actually their lowest. They make the most money on their web services. The reason being is they're a host for people to sell stuff.
Right.
Amazon only makes money off of the little shipping and stuff that the seller pays for to send it to an Amazon warehouse or to use Amazon, and it's a very small cut. The seller makes out with a lot, if not the majority of the cut that you buy it for, which is why Amazon's appraisal and its market values is, I think, slightly deceptive, because a lot of that market value is their stock, is how much is their equity. It's not like how much profit they make. So in that regard, I think that it explains why they would push so hard, as Jaboon said, for you just to buy whatever it is you're trying to buy, because they're not making the most amount of money on those sales, based on the actual product versus the just the logistics and Prime and all that.
Another thing I want to add is Twiz actually, I appreciate Twiz brought it up, is that you're seeing less and less, big name sellers, like, big name brands on Amazon.
I've noticed that.
And
Yeah.
I think it's just it's a big matter of Amazon's just kind of pulled the rug out from under these big sellers, and I'm gonna explain exactly why, because I've been studying it too. Amazon's just way different from what it was back in, like, say when it released in the early 2000s, 2013,
When it's a bookstore, yeah.
not even just a bookstore. Once they start selling more things on there, they were opening the floodgates, welcoming all these sellers and all these big sellers to come in and say, hey, go ahead and set your foot down, you're welcome here. I think that they've been purposefully trying to overshadow with just, like, say, prices, things like that, and letting just people run rampant with those bot reviews, completely overshadow the big sellers. And once they're not making money off of Amazon anymore, they're pulling out. They
That's,
have no
yeah.
reason to stay and pay contract to Amazon or however it goes.
Yeah.
They go sell on their own website or go sell to, trusted vendors,
That's very
qualified
fair.
vendors, anything like that.
as I'm looking up their market shares and everything else, no, they're, as of 2022, their main source of revenue is retail product sales, including Amazon Prime.
Yeah, is that their main profit though? Is that their main profit
Yes,
margin?
that's their main profits.
Oh, okay.
Is
Because I
is
know you're gonna have the
literally-
most revenue from that, because that's the biggest amount of sales, but I don't know if it's the biggest profit.
right. That's their most profitable.
Oh, okay.
Is their online retail products sales, followed by their third-party retailer sales services, followed by cloud computing services, and retail subscription services, including Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
And if they are ripping the rug out from underneath the better retailers, then that's again not right. And it seems like, again, they're appeasing to their shareholders and not the consumer. And at the end of the day, without the consumer, guess what? Your shareholders make no money. You make no coin. You make
Yeah,
no
that goes back to
ducats.
earlier in this episode where we were talking about, like, it's more about the shareholders and the profit margins, whereas the consumer's getting kind of overshadowed and left behind.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, it's sad, because I remember Amazon, even though they still are kind of reliable, they used to be a very reliable service, and I used to trust them for a lot of things because, of course, they're a big marketplace. They should have good moderation, good services, good people, good product. But I see was laughing about good people, good product.
Right.
It's just over the years you can see it slowly deteriorate. And
Well,
don't be wrong.
Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Okay. Don't get me wrong. There's still the good on Amazon. There's still good things that you can get. There's still good prices. I will still always pay for Amazon and go check. But as things go on, if it keeps going like this, I'm not gonna buy on Amazon.
Right, absolutely. But in the same sense too. All right, let's be honest. Amazon has been literally taking out a lot of, you know, retailers, period. The mom and pop shops, even larger retailers and stuff like that too. So whenever you do things like this, I think that it is not only in your best interest, but you almost have like a liability, or not liability, but you owe it to the consumer to give them equal to or better than the product that they would have been able to get from a mom and pop shop, from, you know, an Ace Hardware, from you know, wherever they would have originally bought it pre Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Like if people want to use your store, you should be able to give them that at least decent alternative.
Right. So
I mean, Amazon's so big. I don't think they have the resources to.
The best way to put it is there's no quality control.
Yeah, and the reason is because it's a marketplace. These
Right.
vendors can use your service to sell. You're not the one that's like selling
Okay,
it per
but
se.
but
there
whenever
still has to
I
be an
say
approval
but whenever
process.
I say a quality control,
Hmm.
I mean, okay, Amazon, you can't open these packages, you can't go through the quality and stuff. But is what you can do is not allow people to purchase reviews. You
Oh yeah,
can
absolutely.
not allow
Yeah.
people to have reviews taken down. You know, if you get crap reviews, all right, and there should be a threshold there. If you're under, let's say, 1 point, or no, if you're under a 2-star review,
Hmm.
you should no longer be allowed on the platform.
Well, that could be abused. That could definitely be abused because you could just review bomb someone. So I think you're on the right track. I just don't know if that would be the best way to do it.
Again, unless you like have a bunch of people from all over the place, or you know, you're really technologically sound and can use multiple VPNs with multiple accounts. And to be honest, what one person truly has the time to create, you know, 1,000 Amazon accounts and
Well,
run it
the
You'd be
botters,
surprised.
yeah, the botters, because all those bot reviews are from one main computer probably, and
Just see the will of one RuneScape gold farmer trying to make
oh
one
right,
gold.
right,
You'll get a pretty good idea.
yeah,
Okay,
But, I mean,
then all right, I could make the argument that, all right, if you want to submit a review, right, you have to have Amazon Prime.
that would be pretty
I
alright.
would say I think there's two good solutions. One would be the Amazon Prime idea. That's a very good idea. That, or two, you have to have, say, picture evidence of you owning the product, using the product, and have it be at least not just like say 1 or 2 words like, "Oh, great product."
Or
Show that
even
you actually
Like
use the
50
product and what you
characters
go about
minimum or
it.
something. Yeah.
or even better yet, people can still submit reviews, but if they don't have Amazon Prime, their review doesn't carry as much weight to that star rating.
Verified
All right.
reviews, need more verified
So
reviews.
with an Amazon account, you're a verified
Yeah.
reviewer,
Yeah.
right? With just, you know, the base thing, then okay, you can still submit a review, but it's not verified. So it doesn't, you know, it's not detrimental to your stars. I mean, there's plenty of workarounds, and I think that it's just laziness on behalf of companies.
I completely agree.
Very accurate. Yeah. Is there a subcategory here, Jaboon, or was that it?
I'll say
Yeah.
for our first, for the first Amazon, issue,
You'll have that.
You'll have that. Absolutely.
All right. So for number two, I did say there was two parts to this. Another one I want to bring up, since this company, I'm pretty sure, is owned by Amazon. I could be wrong. If somebody wants to call me out for it, go for it. But Ring doorbells and Ring cameras, I feel like a good majority of people do have them in their homes these days, without a doubt.
I use them.
Especially
Yeah.
Ring doorbell, like having that ease of mind, knowing that you can see who's at your front door, what's going on outside, and just being able to talk to whoever's at the front door, anything like that. It's great convenience, great for the price.
Hmm.
And it's owned by Amazon, so that's already a great sign too.
Alexa compatible.
Alexa compatible. Yep, there you go. I was actually reading an article the other day, even though it's a little older, but I do want to bring it up as it's still kind of worrying. A person who owns a Ring doorbell and Ring cameras, and it also owns, like those Amazon, like I think it's like an Alexa or just Amazon like door lock or whatever.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Those things that have been kind of gaining traction. They had the whole ordeal. Their house was pretty much kitted out. I could be referencing the whole lock thing wrong. Sorry if I am, but that's just like what I remember off the back of my head. But I do know that they had a doorbell and cameras. They had an Amazon delivery driver. Was it come to their house, one of these days, and the guy spoke on the Ring doorbell, and I guess that the guy who was doing like the deliveries, he misheard it and confused it for something racist. And he reported that to Amazon. Of course, Amazon owns the doorbells and all that. And the guy got locked out of using his Ring doorbell and his cameras and all that kind of stuff for an entire week, all over a claim of racism.
Wow.
Didn't look back and check. I guess there's no way they couldn't have like went back and like checked the logs or like checked like video feed or anything. They own the thing. I just thought that was it's kind of crazy knowing that your stuff being connected, of course, online into that company, that they can just lock you out of your home appliances out of all things just anytime.
Wow.
Especially over something that I don't even know if it's true or not. I thought that was absolutely disgusting.
All right,
And
so devil's
what's your takes
advocate.
on it?
Devil's advocate here. Racism by any stretch of the imagination is wrong. Period.
Right. Of course.
Period. It's wrong. I'll agree with that. Whatever. But at the same time, as a consumer in America, where you're supposed to have freedom of speech, okay, I don't think that that's right. Even if what was said was racist or overtly racist, even, they shouldn't do that, period.
I have an issue with it on a different level. I don't think hate speech is a good thing, so I'm not gonna.
Not at all.
I'm not
I'm
gonna
not promoting
advocate
it.
for like being able to do all. Let me rephrase. I do like free speech, but I think there could be some limits on that. But the main issue I'm having is, why did they need to lock this person out of his own appliances for a week, or their own appliances for a week? There should be no reason at all for that. Even if you're investigating internally and you are Amazon and you're whatever you're doing, your data collection, all that, which I don't have an issue with, because I already know to have these services like this, you have to have data collection. Amazon, Google, Apple, they already know everything about you and even more. So that to me is not, I'm not tinfoil hatting or anything like that. What I do have a problem with is they shouldn't have locked him out, or sorry, them. They shouldn't have locked them out of their appliances for whatever they're even if they're investigating, they don't need to do that.
Maybe
Even
kind of backpedal. This is all just claimed, by the way, because the driver supposedly heard it, but the guy has multiple cameras and all that, and they didn't bother. They didn't even think to go check it. Like not the guy who owns the cameras. He can verify that pretty much himself. I don't think you would say that to your Amazon delivery driver, but for them to not even go look or like verify it and just immediately, bam, you're locked out of your stuff for a week.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me.
I also heard in the emails towards him, they were like very accusatory once he was like, "Oh, I have no idea what's going on. Like, why am I locked out of my stuff?"
Yeah.
Pretty much trying to blame the guy, saying that he did do it, which I think is bad.
Even then, I will say it over and over and over again. Even if he was, all right. Even if he said what the driver said he said, okay. What gives you the right as a company to lock someone out of their product that they purchased with their money?
Right.
To do that.
I think that's the main issue here, is they shouldn't have locked him out regardless. And not only that, but like, there's no reason to. Like, what's the benefit? What's the point?
Okay, that's just like let me put it on into this perspective, because the U.S. Postal Service has been around a hell of a lot longer than Amazon has.
Mhm.
All right, that would be like your postman coming up, and I'm sure that they have been they have been accosted, cussed out,
Oh yeah.
called everything in the name in the book other than their Christian name. All right,
Yeah.
that would be like the Postal Service saying, you know what, we're not gonna deliver
Service your
mail, or
house.
better yet,
Yeah.
we're
Whatever.
gonna put a lock on your mailbox,
Yeah.
because you know why? Because we can. No,
Oh,
that would be like them doing that, and they haven't done things like that. Now, I'm sure that they've made it to where, okay, we're not going to service your address anymore, or whatever, which I think is very, maybe that's happened, maybe it hasn't. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
But still, like I said, it's kind of like my mom's always said, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Yes, words can be, they can be,
Oops.
hurtful, and nobody should say them, but at the same time, you shouldn't be locking people out of their stuff that they've paid for in a country that, we hold certain rights into a very high regard. Again, it comes down to freedom of speech, and
Now I'm
okay,
also gonna
sure,
play devil's advocate here.
you can scream terms of service,
Mhm.
blah blah blah.
Well, not only that,
Okay,
but you are okay. So, Amazon is not held to the standard of the U.S. judicial system. So you're not innocent until proven guilty in Amazon, because Amazon's a private company. So at the drop of a hat, they could ban you, blacklist you, whatever they want to from their services. I think that's fine, but there's just no reason for that process that occurred to happen. They didn't even list a reason as far as I'm hearing here. So that's what I don't understand. Like, if
well,
you want to
apparently there was
blacklist
an
them, sure, but why? You know?
apparently there was an email conversation that went back and forth,
Ah, I see.
once they did that to him, and then he hit him up like, yo, I don't even know what's going on, and then they started getting accusatory that he did X, and this is the result,
Ah, I see. I see.
which
I do
okay.
also want to point
do
out.
you do you know how many, 1 second, do you know how many YouTube videos or TikTok videos that I've seen of Ring doorbell and Ring camera footage of people being racist?
Oh
I
yeah.
don't see Amazon white knighting and locking these people out of their stuff.
And it's not. I mean, it's technically not Amazon's job to.
Yeah, it's
A
not
Ring doorbell is for the purpose of what? Being a doorbell. It's not a
right.
platform to like have a filtered, content that reaches the whole world and all this. It's not meant
Right.
for that. So I just stay in your lane, Amazon. Stay in your lane.
That's my thing. Is like, how
Right.
you gonna lock somebody out of their doorbell, bro? Like,
Yeah.
how you locking somebody out of their doorbell?
Yep.
And
You're really gonna restrict somebody's ability to ring?
always remember and never forget, Amazon, you do have competition, and I haven't heard Google's Blink doorbells doing this to anybody,
Yeah.
Or
or any
Arlo,
Or
other.
the million
even
other
Arlo.
Chinesium ones. Like, there's so
Right.
many other options, yeah, that are much
Right.
cheaper, in fact.
So yeah, so might want to rethink your stance on that one. Again, I will say I do not agree with racism, period, and it should not happen. But at the same time, yeah, stay in your lane. You could have handled that a million different other ways
Yeah.
very easily. Okay, we're not going to send Amazon drivers to your address anymore. We're going
Mhm.
to take your packages to your post office and drop them there,
Yep.
and then you can go pick them up.
Mhm.
They could have simply done that. But locking someone out of their stuff, nah, that's
Doesn't make sense at all to me.
mm-mm.
And just to give a little cherry on top, after the whole exchange and everything, once everything did get unlocked, Amazon left no follow up email or like try to, say, sorry for the inconvenience or what happened, or try to explain anything else. They didn't say anything after that. They just, after
Oh, they
everything was done,
they wouldn't have had to say anything after that to me, especially not in an email, because I'd have been on the phone. I'm gonna need compensation.
Yeah.
that is
Compensation.
Yeah.
that's another thing is like I think a lot of these problems, like especially I'm glad this one got as much traction as it did, because this obviously is a big no-no. I get, even if they did say something messed up, there's
Mhm.
as you guys have both said, there's so many better ways to handle, a predicament or such situation, that I think Amazon completely,
Fumbled.
missed the mark on, they messed up. Um there's just so many better ways to handle that. And I feel like there's a lot of things happening like this, or a lot of issues that I think people just voices aren't getting heard.
Hmm.
They have the conversation with Amazon and like, well, I guess I'm just gonna not be without, or I'm gonna be without my doorbell for like, a week, or be without my cameras, anything like that.
Yeah.
But another thing is just like we're slowly getting to this, era where all of our, like, imagine being locked out of all of your household appliances just because some person said one thing. It's like being on Twitter. Like, imagine
Being
it's like
canceled.
having
Yeah.
your household appliances canceled because somebody made a call out post on them on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
how
that's
we're
crazy.
getting to that point, and it's scary. It really is.
And that's where cancel culture is really not helping anything. It's not helping anyone. I'm sure it has its place in very certain settings, sure, but at the same time, like, come on, guys, we're out here canceling comedians for telling jokes,
This thing is like,
which is that's another topic for another time. But you know,
people are getting too comfortable saying things on the internet and not
well,
being able to back themselves up. That's a
That's
good way to
fair.
put it right now.
people are also
We'll go more in depth about it, I
people
think,
are
in the next
also
episode.
people are also too comfortable being all up in their feelings and not understanding that, hey, if your biggest issue is someone calling you a name, that's a first world issue.
Hmm.
You're not worrying about food in your stomach, or roof over your head, and wheels to get you from point A to point B. A, you can handle things a lot differently than the way you're handling them. You know, that's just my opinion, though, and you'll have that.
You'll have that.
Y'all have that. All right, I guess we saved the best for last. Aliens in the mall.
aliens.
Twiz, please enlighten us.
So,
I just want to point out we've gone from going over game DRM and game ownership to
Ad block
Amazon's
stuff from
ad
Amazon,
block,
and now we're on
Amazon,
aliens
and now,
in the
now
mall.
we're talking,
Kinda
to
been-
we're talking about the
ki-
Alamaus at,
yeah,
at the mall.
we've kind of been all over the map, but
We really did, just like the
so
aliens.
and this is where things are kind of shit's crazy, to put it bluntly.
Yeah.
So apparently, uh, people started saying that they were seeing 9 to 10 foot tall aliens in the Miami Mall, and like, whenever they were claiming that they're aliens, they were like, oh, they were shadows, but the shadows were like solid. All right, and
They're
then,
ghosts.
so don't get me wrong, I'm all like, okay, this is interesting, tell me more. Is there
Okay.
video? You're in a mall, there's this, and they show
Oh,
me these
tons of
photos.
security photo or security cameras.
Right,
And
they
stuff.
they show me all these photos and stuff of this huge massive police presence at this mall, and I'm all like, okay, so how did we get from there's 9 to 10 foot aliens in the mall to this huge police presence? There has to be video. Oh, well, everybody that's saying that they saw the aliens, that the aliens were messing with the lights, the Wi-Fi, and every time they tried to take a video, their phones just shut down.
Oh man.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
okay, awfully convenient.
Right.
All right. So, I, of course, asked more questions, and they're all like, okay, so there was supposed to be this large police presence came out because it was supposed to be some kids in the mall fighting with sticks. All right. So, are we talking about the little tiny little kids, or are we talking about like
Well,
almost adult kids fighting? And they couldn't tell me, so I come home and I start doing the research and everything. So, the official story is a bunch of teenagers at the mall. Fight breaks out. There's sticks used, and somehow firecrackers start getting thrown and set off in the mall. Okay, this makes sense, right? This all makes sense. So you had a fight break out. Now you have firecrackers introduced, and some people will mistake the sounds of firecrackers to the sounds of gunshots. All right. So you already know if somebody picks up a phone and calls 911 and says that they're in a public place where large gatherings of people occur and there's gunshots, they're immediately going to think, okay, mass shooting. This is the police presence. But of course, you've got tinfoil hat people that come out and swear
They're
that
10-foot aliens.
that it's 10-foot aliens because they don't believe mainstream media because fake news.
I'm sorry. I hate to interrupt. I'm just fucking dying laughing at the fact, like, because I've seen the news reports, I've seen the videos, I pretty much know exactly what you're talking about. I'm just dying, like, laughing at like the mental image of just you have all these cop cruisers outside, and you have all these people calling saying, "Oh, you've seen the aliens," I would have died. I'm dying laughing just imagining the idea of like a 9-foot alien, Ayla Mao, just slowly stepping outside the mall with all these cop cars outside,
just chilling at the mall, getting a Gucci bag.
He's like,
yeah, getting a Gucci bag and shit. But no, like it. In a way, it annoys me, right? Because we've gotten into this age, the age of information, as a matter of fact, right? Where literally the world's information is at your fingertips. Yeah. And people will look at me with a straight face and tell me that they don't believe the actual news report of this is what happened at this mall because of air quotes fake news. Yep. That they believe this conspiracy theorist Joe Blow over here that says that they were at the mall, but they couldn't get any footage, no audio, no pictures, no nothing of a 10-foot tall freaking alien that was messing with Wi-Fi and
throwing mobile EMPs.
Right.
Messing with the 5G towers,
so you're gonna tell me with a straight face that you believe this over what multiple reputable news sources are reporting. Really? Okay, sure. All because there's this huge police response. It's logical thinking.
It's out the window.
Put two and two together, and you've got fight, firecrackers. Some Karen probably started screaming there's gunshots on the 911 call. And of course and if the fight's big enough, they're gonna roll out more and more police.
Of course.
I mean, not just that, it's a big mall.
Like, as soon as you hear shooting feedback and mall, I think automatic response is send everyone.
Or fight, mall, shooting.
Yeah, right. That's all the red flags right there.
For all they know, it could be a riot going on.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
Right. I mean, look at what has happened across the country, multiple times. It's unfortunate, very much so. But there's been dozens and dozens and dozens of mass shootings, and of course they're gonna have, if somebody calls and they are in a public space of that magnitude and says, hey, there's a bunch of people fighting and I think I heard gunshots, and a lot of them, because if you're throwing firecrackers,
they don't crack
one or two.
Yeah, right.
So, and I heard a lot of gunshots. What do you think's gonna happen?
I mean, that's just like, You said
Like,
it perfectly earlier.
go ahead.
It's like the main reason that this stuff happens too is unfortunate. With it being the unfortunate case, is like one person's word is enough to like just go off of, and it be like an entire big issue. And it's becoming
Yeah.
more and more clear as the years are going on. The internet and media in general is just so mainstream. Is that all it takes is Bill sitting from Bill working at Comcast. He comes home at like 5 in the afternoon. Tweets on Twitter. Calls somebody, says, "Hey, there's a UFO going over the mall," or like, "Hey, Justin Bieber's over here eating a burrito in Las Vegas." Like,
Yeah.
it's it's very random examples, but just you get my point.
And with that, in my opinion, all right, if you even as an individual with the internet, with platforms such as YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that, if you are going to come on and TikTok, if you are going to come on to these platforms and claim that you are reporting facts, news, you should be obligated and held at a standard as such that if you are reporting complete falsehoods, you should be open for the potential of being sued. Period.
That's fair. I mean,
Because at the end of the day, the false information that gets spewed out by people that literally should be staying in their lanes and doing their job at whatever factory, mill, whatever they're doing, and they're not willing to actually do the research and keep a logical mind in all of this, you should be open to being sued and not just have this platform to spew whatever disinformation that you want, because we've seen it's getting, the disinformation's getting rampant. It has caused many issues.
It's like the
Not
age
just-
of misinformation.
Right. Not just in this country, but a lot of countries. And it's not right. It really isn't right. If you can be sued for defamation on someone's name, you should definitely be able to be sued for
Misinformation.
spreading falsities and spreading misinformation. Granted, I
It'd be
saw
really
a 9
hard
foot
to
or
put
10
like
foot tall alien.
yeah.
Probably isn't going to hurt anyone. You know what I'm saying?
I was about to say
But at
it's
the
really
same
hard to put a
time-
value on that though, to be able
Right.
to, quantify that.
Well, absolutely. But, at what point does it come to, okay, there's a snowstorm outside, but someone gets on the internet and starts telling their locals that follow them, yeah, there's a snowstorm, but the roads aren't bad at all. Driving's fine, blah, blah, blah. Somebody gets in their car off of that information and goes down the road and, plows through a building and injuring or God forbid killing someone.
And I think that's where you're kind of getting into the balance of free speech and having some sort of restraint on it, because it's
Well-
never it will never change where we're at because of free speech. It's
Well,
never
I've always looked at free speech as, sure, you can say whatever you want as far as like saying it. It's kind of hard for me to explain, but as far as like getting on a platform and telling someone, hey, this is fact. All right. I think at that point, this is no longer free speech.
it introduces a gray area, I think.
There's definitely gray area.
Yeah, it introduces a really big gray area, because you could argue that no, I wasn't telling people news, I was just saying my opinion on something, and then it's free speech again. So I think it's very tricky.
Right, but this person got on YouTube and said, I saw with my eyes. That's no longer free speech, in my opinion. If you're literally saying, I saw this,
Hmm.
you are trying to portray that as factual. It's no longer your opinion. You are trying to spin this as fact. Okay. Um, free speech is basically saying, hey, F you or whatever, or, you know, this grass is blue because I'm colorblind or whatever. Um, but no, whenever you are getting on a platform that has the potential of reaching millions of people, and you are saying, you know, presenting something as completely factual, here are the facts. Then yeah, no, you're no you've stepped out of line of freedom of speech.
I think we're
In
just
my
in like
in my opinion.
I think we're just right now, like when it comes to media, news, or even just like internet stuff, anything. We're like, I think the best way to put it is we're in the morally gray, or just the gray area in general for like any sort of shareable media or etc. these days, because so many things aren't really fact checked until I'd say it's either too late, or the only people that are really fact checking it are just overshadowed.
Well, and that's at the same time, a lot of people are saying, okay, why isn't the news covering this right now? Um,
Yeah.
so the reason why reputable news sources isn't covering things immediately at the speed of light, right, is because they are fact checking what the hell is going on. Because
But
I'm sure after the whole Fox News getting sued, nobody else wants that on their
record.
records.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But at the same
NBC
time,
doesn't want that. CBS, CNN,
yeah.
BBC,
Yeah.
none of them want that.
But at the same time, if you're a news network, if you have information that everyone else doesn't have out yet, that makes you the prime candidate or gets the most views. And in the end of the day, at the end of the day, if you're a news network, what do you want? The most eyes on you, the most views. So it's kind of like incentivizing to almost skip the whole fact checking thing.
Well, it is, and at the same time, that's why reputable news sources, when they do drop a scoop like that, they straight tell you at the very beginning, in the middle, and at the end that this is the information that we have been presented. And I've
Hmm.
I've literally heard it on CNN, CBS, uh, NBC, ABC, all of the C's.
Yeah.
all the C's.
Every single one of them will say that this is the information that we have been provided thus far,
Yeah.
or something to the effect of, we're not sure yet, but this is what we're being told, or
Mhm.
sources say.
Yeah. Right. Right.
You know, okay, then do with that information what you will. You know, um, and eventually, as the story progresses,
They'll keep
the
editing and
the the
revising. And yeah.
facts are revised, and here's what we know for fact. Here's what is still undetermined.
Yeah.
Here's what we know was false. Sure, but don't get on a platform and be all like, I saw this, whenever
Right.
you weren't even within a 2-mile vicinity of this place.
You'll have
I
that.
And
think
you'll have that.
you'll have that.
Well, alrighty. That was an awesome first episode. That went by pretty well. I think we did pretty good on time. Thanks for anyone
Yeah.
that watched, and for future viewers, welcome. This will hopefully be a regular thing, once a week, and once we have it scheduled down, I'll start advertising it. But right now we don't have a solid schedule, but once a week is
Just
what
kind
we're
of
shooting
testing the
for.
waters.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks for watching, everyone. Everyone want to say their goodbye?
Thank you guys for coming in. We appreciate you stopping by, hearing our rambling, all of our, our funny little opinions on what we do. If you ever want to give us feedback, drop in the comments or come on down into Twisted. We're more than welcome to have your opinions, have any recommendations, just anything that'll help out with the podcast, or just to hear someone else's take on things that they may not align with our takes. Just we're always welcome to open an open view, I guess is the best way to put it.
And remember, if you are watching this live and you chat, we will react to the chat live. So that's yeah.
Never be afraid to chime in. We're
Yeah.
always welcome to hear what somebody has to say.
All right, guys, and always remember, sometimes